12 months ago, two-thirds of F1's Oceanic contingent must have been feeling sorry for themselves. Liam Lawson was dropped by Red Bull after 2 races. Jack Doohan entering the European leg of the season on the sidelines, losing his seat to Franco Colapinto. Joining a team like Racing Bulls was certainly not in a fate, but the circumstances in Lawson's demotion were he was ported into the Red Bull lineup and given control of an RB21, which was very difficult and was turfed out after just 2 races. The genesis of the switch, which had emerged during pre-season testing, where Red Bull already had reservations about Lawson's pace as he was up to his second lap down on Verstappen. Rather than chalk this up as a fundamental design philosophy, Red Bull swapped in with Yuki Tsunoda. By May, Colapinto had done his first race for Alpine, reaching Q2, but only courtesy of hurling his pink and blue lump into a gravel trap. These who felt sorry for Doohan, they were not giving anywhere near enough time, were immediately on Colapinto's case, using the occasional prediction for shunts as a stick to beat him with. Both had a few points to prove in 2026, perhaps feeling a bit unlucky to still be around. They've been given a second chance, and they seem to be taking it by the scruff of the neck. It took a few races for Lawson to really start moving forward, but in the end he eventually began to do so. For much of the first half of the year, Lawson had been redesigned to playing second fiddle to Hadjar, who had made a splash in F1, but after that he did begin to get closer and closer to him. There were impressive moments, which was enough to earn another year in F1, with Arvid Lindblad hoovering up Paul Blitz in the 26th opener. Lawson felt like he had undone a handful of good work in the second half of the season, but clinching points in China, 9th in Japan, and then spend almost the entirety of the Montreal race keeping Gasly in his mirrors was pretty damn impressive. But for Colapinto, if there's one first impression of Colapinto, it's that he absolutely loves to chatter away from his first press conference onwards, but he's also quick, a fact that has perhaps been forgotten over the past year, given his tendency to perhaps over-push in crunch moments. This was arguably a characteristic of his time at Williams, where he had some great results, but also a few crashes. It led to Helmut Marko considering the move, but he didn't take it up, leading to him becoming a reserve driver at Alpine with the view for him to take up a seat, and eventually he did. And it was kind of a similar story there, but probably without less flash of the pace, and it did seem to be carrying into this season for a bit, but it has since turned around, obviously, with a few really good points finishes recently in Montreal. So yeah, they've both shown their worth as an F1 driver this season. They just need repeatability, I think, for both of them, and for Colapinto's case, maybe consistency as well. And Jay, you think that those 2 drivers, against the odds, maybe would have their seat tied up for a long time, but then that kind of leads into questions like over several different drivers, including Bottas and Ocon, whose F1's future may well be in doubt. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they go. Obviously, Bottas has only recently come back. So yeah, I think Bottas, for me, it is a question mark over whether he will be around for long term. But I do think Colton Herta, the obvious replacement, isn't quite ready yet, as we've seen so far with his F1 results. And obviously Bottas's experience will be invaluable for a start-up Cadillac team, with Perez possibly already being linked with a move to a midfield. I do think Bottas will at least get to the season, if not a bit longer. And then of course, we've had rumours over Esteban Ocon as well, and whether he could potentially leave Haas. And I do kind of worry for Ocon. At the moment, he seems to be getting quite comfortably outpaced by Ollie Beerman in the Brit's second year in the sport. And yeah, it kind of feels like for Ocon, where would he really go after he leaves Haas, with Ferrari having young drivers like Rafa Kamara coming through? I don't know, I do worry kind of for Ocon's long-term future on the grid beyond this season. Anyway guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share and subscribe. Follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily F1 news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.